Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. We're monitoring a power outage in the Ogden-Riverdale area. Rocky Mountain Power says a damaged power line initially affected over 8,600 connections. That has since dropped to around 200 connections. Strong winds are expected to kick up from Salt Lake to Brigham City today. The National Weather Service says winds could reach between 45 and 55 miles an hour, with people between Bountiful and Layton looking at 55 to 60 mile an hour winds.
Winds start to ramp up through late morning, will peak at the noon hour through the afternoon, potentially into the nighttime hours tonight.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says he thinks winds will peak around noon and last through the night, but he does think they'll start dying out tomorrow morning. Forecasters are urging people to secure their outdoor furniture and trash cans. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The body of former President Jimmy Carter is in Washington, D.C. today, or he will be, where he'll lie in until Thursday's state funeral at the Washington National Cathedral. President Biden will deliver a eulogy at the funeral. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 0.2%, $89.37 to 42,798. Coming up, we've got those blue skies that Amanda was just mentioning. We'll see what the weather looks like when we come back. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the slowest stretch of traffic is on US 89 northbound from Antelope Drive in Layton up to I-84 due to an earlier crash. You also have a crash in the cleanup stages southbound I-15 at the Center Street exit in Orem. That's blocking the right lane and shoulder. Traffic backed up to 800 north. And then in the Salt Lake Valley, you just still have your slowdowns from the commute. Northbound from Point of the Mountain all the way up into Sandy area, and again between Midvale and Murray. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple, that away. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, there's a wind advisory in effect for the northern Wasatch Front. Speeds could reach up to 65 miles an hour in some locations. Aside from that, it's another cold day. Highs will be in the upper 30s. In fact, right now, it's 32 degrees in Ogden and Provo and only 30 degrees here in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We're awaiting a news conference from President-elect Donald Trump, expected to hold a news conference this morning at some point regarding certification of his election win. We're going to take it live for just a few minutes when he begins speaking to the press.
Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
And I wonder how much of a hand that Trump's election had in the Facebook, Threads, and Instagram announcement this morning, Dave, that they're going to be trimming up content moderation, which in a nutshell will mean less fact-checking on their social media platforms. When you first heard that this morning on Utah's Morning News, what was your initial reaction to that?
The phrase less fact-checking is just so loaded, right? It just sounds so bad. But the fact is, we just have not done a great job, and we haven't figured out a great way to fact-check right now on social media. There are billions and billions and billions of posts that happen every single day and uploads. It is an impossible task for social media companies to be able to police and fact check every single one of those posts. And they have, quite frankly, failed miserably at it. They have left stuff up that shouldn't be, and they've taken stuff down that shouldn't be. They've made mistake after mistake after mistake. So they're trying to figure out what to do next. And they've made a massive sea change by firing the fact checkers.
I just want to say my initial reaction was, I didn't know this was actually a thing.
You didn't know they were fact-checking?
I did not know, but the truth is they were. They launched their program, according to NBC News, in 2016. It involved 90 organizations, fact-checking in 60 languages, and they partnered with PolitiFact and FactCheck.org. Both organizations I've heard of. And then they would flag potentially like misinformation based on some of the users' responses. But here's the thing. I was not really, I guess I just didn't realize that they were out there combing Facebook and Instagram and Threads to the point where they were pulling down posts. I would just read somebody's post on Facebook, like a friend of mine, for example, or maybe somebody who's like loosely a friend. I wouldn't say a close friend. They're a Facebook friend. And I just figured whatever they're posting is just their opinion. I don't look to Facebook. I don't look to Instagram. I hardly use Threads, even though I think I still have an account on there, to go for my fact-based information. I use other resources. I use, I read the New York Times, I read ABC News, NBC, Reuters, Associated Press. So I just figure if Betty in Delta is posting information about her job loss, that's just Betty's opinion and what happened to Betty. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, some of this, I think the frustration came from when Facebook was specifically censoring even journalistic outlets. So the New York Post, the most infamous, I think, was where they posted the Hunter Biden laptop story. And Facebook took that down because they thought that was Russian disinformation. A lot of the information that was coming out during COVID and people that were pushing back against the government and what they were saying, those posts were being censored. And it wasn't just Betty, your third grade buddy. It was coming from legitimate places. And
right.
And Mark Zuckerberg has apologized and said, you know what, we missed it, and we're trying to figure out how to do it better.
You bring up an excellent point. I just want to cut away to breaking news for just a moment to just make sure you're in touch with what's happening back on the East Coast, Washington, D.C. today, also in Florida. It looks like the President-elect Donald Trump is going to get ready to make remarks any moment right now after his election certification. But we also have a visual right now in studio. And former President Carter's casket is now leaving the Carter Center in Atlanta. We're watching a live feed out of Atlanta. You see the hearse there. And it'll head to the United States Capitol where
he will lie in state for the next couple of days, and his funeral will be held on January 9th. As I was saying just moments ago, Mark Zuckerberg he produced about a 5-minute video just speaking to a camera about these changes. So let's listen in on what he's planning to do with these new community guidelines. And it's more like community notes that will help moderate. And I want you to explain more about that in just a moment. But they're rolling back the fact-checking to pretty decent degree on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Threads.
Is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice.
And he goes on to talk about how they'll will self-police each other using community notes. I'm curious to know more about this.
First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
Now, community notes isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's still going to be endless tweets, posts, X-posts, whatever it might be on social media that just quite frankly are not true, and misinformation is going to abound. But community notes is interesting in this, in the way it's handled. They allow you to post whatever you want, and they will leave that post up, unless it's illegal. So they leave the original post up, and then directly below the post, there is a note, so to speak, and a community note will say, this is a misrepresentation of what this politician said, or this image was photoshopped and is not authentic. So it gives more context, a little bit like Wikipedia, where somebody can go in and change it and try to update it.
By the way, we're going to take your live calls as well in the next few minutes. So start calling right now, 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Do you like this new model that Facebook is leaning into? A lot less fact-checking, trimming up content moderation, and just kind of let it be more of a platform for free speech. Whatever Betty wants to say, she can post on Facebook. But I'm curious about, or on Instagram or on Threads, 801-575-TALK. But what I'm curious about, Dave, is how is this community notes helpful? I don't use Twitter/X to the degree that you do. And I haven't been on it as much lately. How does it work? Because they do use, right, that platform does use that kind of method to keep people in line. But how does that work, and what do you see as the pitfalls to that?
Okay, so anyone can sign up to be a community notes contributor, but they just don't let anybody, they don't let bots. You have to be a verified person, you have to have a phone number, and you can sign up to be a community notes contributor. The benefit is kind of what I was explaining earlier, where if there's a clearly manufactured, photoshopped image, the community notes can say this was manipulated in this way, and they can bring some context. Here's the downside of community notes. It's not comprehensive. So every photoshopped image, every mistruth, everything that is posted, there's still going to be stuff that gets out there that does not get community noted, so to speak. So when we see community notes, we're like, oh, okay, well, maybe this one isn't true. Well, when we don't see community notes, the default is like, oh, well, this one must be true. So it's difficult when you don't community note everything, because then you just think, oh, well, this Betty's post must be true because she didn't get community noted.
Dave and I talking about Facebook's announcement this morning that it's going to roll back fact-checking, trimming up content moderation. which will mean less fact-checking on its social media platforms. Mark Zuckerberg taking to social media himself to make the announcement. It dropped about a 5-minute video about how this is going to work.
We're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive.
Is this something we do want to see more of now?
It's such a great question, because I didn't like that Facebook told me what I should or shouldn't be looking at. I and you are highly into politics. We like to read about politics and the political behind the scenes and the intrigue. And Facebook was saying, no, Dave, Deb, even though you like it, we're not going to feed that to you because we don't think there's a productive conversation to be held out there. Now Zuckerberg's saying we're not going to restrict that to the level that we were. We're going to try to bring that back. We want it to be a positive conversation, but here's the problem. You can't dictate that. You can't dictate the way we're going to interact with each other. And that's where I think the big failure has been, is they've been trying to make Facebook or Threads or Twitter, whatever, they've been trying to make it a positive place, and you just can't force that, and you can't require that. People are going to say what people are going to say.
So I have just not been using Facebook nearly as much as I used to in the past. I looked at my use rate over the past 3 days. I've been on Facebook a total of, ready for this, 16 minutes in 3 days. However, I think I might be an anomaly. About a third of Americans regularly get their news from Facebook, according to a survey by Pew Research. So if you're one of those people who regularly use Facebook, 801-575-TALK, do you want there to be fact-checking? If you're getting your news from Facebook, do you want there to be fact-checking? Or do you like this idea that Facebook is rolling back fact-checking? It seems like they formed a partnership maybe 8 years ago or so, according to NBC News, where they involved almost 100 different organizations to fact-check multiple languages. They partnered with fact-checking websites to fact-check and moderate posts that were false. But I'm not using it to the degree a lot of people are right now. I'm using it to, like, my friends, got a new cat, or they just got engaged, or, one of my friends' parents passed away and I want to express my condolences on Facebook. I am not using it to gather my news from. And I do wonder if Facebook is perhaps using this new announcement to get people back onto the platform, because it's more of, it's just more of like the public square. With public square, generally, unless you're doing something or saying something completely illegal, is not moderated.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the key. And I think that's what social media companies are trying to figure out, is how can we handle this? Because KSL, for example, our employer, we are content moderators. So we are responsible. We are editors. We are responsible for the posts on our website. So if you see a story that is posted to KSL, we have a responsibility to make sure that that information is true. There's libel, there's slander laws that require us to make sure that what we post is true. Social media companies don't have that same burden because they are not the producers of the content. So it is this very strange world they live in. They want to be like, hey, come to our site, post whatever you want. Post pictures, post cute little kitty cat videos, or post your latest diatribe on Donald Trump, whatever it might be. But because they are not publishers, they really don't play by the same rules. They aren't held accountable for every post that their users make. So they're in this odd area of, we kind of want to let you post whatever you want, but at the same time, if it's illegal, if it's dangerous, if it's misinformation, they're taking that down, or they have been in the past.
On our text line at 57500, Dave, I want to bounce this one off you. I got censored once on Facebook a few years ago. Don't remember exactly what the content was, but I remember being really surprised because it was a simple and mild post of patriotic gratitude, and I wasn't presenting facts, just my gratitude for our freedoms. Yeah, so you were just expressing your opinion about being proud to be an American. This texter says they got censored for it.
I had an experience this morning, Deb, of a post that was made that I felt needed a community note. Now, can I walk you through the story a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
So Nebraska Senator Deb Fischer is being sworn in by Kamala Harris yesterday. And this was happening time and time again, where people would come up, they'd bring their Bible, they'd be sworn in. Kamala Harris, they'd take a picture, and Kamala Harris was taking or swearing people in. So Nebraska Senator Deb Fischer walks up there. Her husband is with her, and he's holding the Bible. And it looks from the video that Kamala Harris shakes Senator Fischer's hand, and then she turns to her husband to shake his hand, and he doesn't shake it. And it's this awkward little moment where it looks like why wouldn't he shake the vice president's hand? And then all of a sudden, the internet just explodes. He goes viral. They're calling him a racist and a sexist. And how could you not shake her hand? She clearly reached out to you and you denied, her a handshake. And it was just going crazy. Don Lemon, former CNN news anchor, called him a racist piece of garbage. He was just very harsh. Well, we learned that the reason he didn't shake her hand is because he's holding the Bible in his left hand, and in his right hand, he is propping himself up with his cane. And videos and photos have shown this to be the case. Like, he didn't have a hand to shake, so he just nods to the vice president and says, "Thank you." That is where I think these misleading videos and posts need some sort of content moderation. They need a community note to say, well, for full context, the reason he didn't shake her hand, it appears that he didn't have a hand available, right? I mean, that was just a great example this morning that I saw that needed additional context, because first blush, when I saw it, it looked bad.
So one of our texters, to your point, Dave, says, are community notes the same as comments to a social media post? So to a Facebook post, of course, you can comment on that. But they're wondering, are community notes the same as comments to a post that anyone can write? Can I play what Mark Zuckerberg said during that video post this morning?
Hey, everyone. I want to talk about something important today, because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
So the way community notes work, and the reason it is not like comments or the comments section, is typically you have to click on comments to reveal them, right? And then the most recent comment goes to the top. Community notes, at least on X, is posted directly below the original post. So it is, you don't have to click on it. It is clearly visible. You see immediately that someone is like, now, there's some more context.
Can anybody post a community note?
No, you have to be a verified community note.
Okay.
A community noter. So you have to apply for it. It's not paid. It's just done by the community, but you have to be a verified account. So, you can't be a Russian bot that puts in all this disinformation. You have to have a history that they track. So I'll say it's a little bit more Wikipedia than it is an actual job at Meta.
Well, I am really curious to see how this plays out on my Facebook feed when I'm on it for 3 minutes a day. Straight ahead, a passenger hailed a self-driving taxi for his ride to Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, Arizona. Wait until you hear the rest of the story.
I'm in a Waymo car. Connected to rider support. This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
This car is just going in circles.
The best parts of KSL News Radio are so easy to use in the car. Catch the biggest stories affecting Utah's communities throughout the morning. If you miss a newscast, the next one is just a few minutes away. Plus, we have traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s like clockwork. We try to make it easy for your commute, mornings and afternoons. Rely on KSL News Radio.
If you see the Master Electrical Service vans driving around the community, well, they're still around. They're still the same great company that's been around since 1954, but now they've joined forces with Mountain Air to create Mountain Home Services.
Yeah, what's so awesome about this union is that Master Electrical Service, of course, they can still take care of all your electrical needs. Your EV chargers, your generators, that recessed lighting. Come on, it's a new year. Let's beef up that living room with that old lighting. Let's get you some recessed lighting. And now that they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services, they can help you with your HVAC, your heating and air, your plumbing. And they all comes with that upfront pricing guarantee, Dave.
Yeah, I love that. I've joked for years about my terrible front room that was lit by lamps because I had no recessed lighting. It was a disaster. So, yeah, if you need electrical needs, Mountain Home Services is where you can go, but they bring that depth of knowledge with heating and air, plumbing, water quality, all of these things with Mountain Home Services. Make sure you reach out to them online, mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or you can call them at 801-543-2222. Again, that phone number is 801-543-2222. President-elect Donald Trump now speaking from Mar-a-Lago on the heels of his election certification. Let's listen in.
Into the data centers, and that's going to be a very hot item in the coming years, as you know, with AI. In particular, the first phase of the project will be in Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana, those places. And Hussein, I'd love you to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump is speaking one day after Congress certifies his election win, and specifically right there he was talking about data centers and the investment that's going to be made here in the United States into data centers. He's speaking from Mar-a-Lago, but just hitting some of his top priorities, some of the things that he's excited about.
We'll continue to monitor his news conference live from Mar-a-Lago with our team of producers and reporters right here from the studio and also from our newsroom.
Hi, I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. In these trying times, when inflation is out of control and our paychecks give us less and less money to support our families, the last thing any of us can afford is for the IRS to garnish wages, levy bank accounts, or seize assets. It's important now more than ever to protect your financial security.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
$66,300.
Let us safeguard you. Visit endtaxworry.com. We have saved countless taxpayers like you millions of dollars, kept businesses in operation, and ensured that our clients receive the best possible outcome.
Nearly $65,000.
$12,000 is something that you can look at and say, okay, I can handle that.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. You work hard for your money. Let us work hard for you. Visit endtaxworry.com.
We're very grateful.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
Check out AMCO's multiple financing options, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow.
AA MCO.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in, because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
It's 9:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. A local family is grateful their daughter is okay after her and her boyfriend were forced to drive off the road in American Fork Canyon. Lorelei Graham and her boyfriend's dash cam shows another car drive into their lane. He had to crash the car off the side of the road to avoid a head-on crash. Both of them are okay, but Graham tells KSL TV they want the other driver to come forward and take accountability.
It would just be nice to kind of let things come forward and I guess get justice. Justice would be nice.
The family says they want the other driver to at least pay for the damage to the car. Police say the case is still under review. We're learning more about the man accused of killing his girlfriend and leaving her body in a remote area of Tooele County. Investigators say Nestor Rocha Aguayo was deported just 6 days before the woman's death. Text messages show he was reportedly back in the U.S. on January 1st. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. has seen the first fatal case of bird flu in a human.
Health officials have only said that the person who died of bird flu was over 65, had underlying health conditions, and, says ABC News medical contributor Dr. John Brownstein, had a backyard flock of birds.
So direct connection to wildlife in a way that most people don't have.
So far, there's been no person-to-person passing of avian flu.
That change would indicate a real problem, and we're not seeing that yet.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 32 points to 42,737. Coming up, a big wind advisory coming up for the next couple of days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 9:33. The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, things are finally moving along pretty well now all across the Wasatch Front. No delays anymore on US 89 northbound through the Layton area. The earlier crash southbound I-15 in Orem is gone, but we have a new crash northbound I-15 in Pleasant Grove. It looks like it's just a single vehicle over on the right shoulder. That's not causing any delay. So overall, you've got a pretty good drive now if you're hitting the roads. Get started on your dream kitchen or bath countertops with special financing from Bedrock Quartz for up to 18 months. Visit bedrockquartz.com for details. That's bedrockquartz.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, there's a wind advisory in effect for the northern Wasatch Front. Speeds could reach up to 65 miles an hour. Aside from that, it'll be another cold day. Highs will be in the upper 30s. Right now, it's 32 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
We've been listening in on President-elect Donald Trump's news conference, which he's holding right now live at Mar-a-Lago. Dave, you've been your ears have been under the headphones since we went to break on this. Just give us a couple of details of what you've heard so far.
Well, he's hit a number of things. Number one, it started off, he brought forth a billionaire from the United Arab Emirates who was talking about investing $20 billion in data centers all across the United States. He talked about the Afghanistan withdrawal. He also talked about President Biden banning offshore drilling, and he's like, I'm going to undo that on day one, and it's going to be drill, baby, drill.
So he's got a tall agenda for day one. So far, he's talked about immigration policy being at the top of that agenda. He's going to tackle it on day one, along with other promises that he's made along the campaign trail. But I want to dip back in now to the news conference at Mar-a-Lago to hear what else he's talking about.
We did a great job, and we're going to do an even better job because now we have a tremendous amount of experience. We have people that I can rely on. But the 625 million acres, people can't realize, it's like the whole ocean. Take an acre. You know, an acre, you have a house on a half an acre, on a quarter of an acre, or an acre. If you have an acre, you have a big deal. Now you multiply that by 625 million acres. It's like, feels like the whole ocean. And that's our strength, you know? People can say we manufacture, we don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. And we're going to have more of it, too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore drilling. Nobody else does that. And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one. We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts, but if we do have to go to the courts, you know, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you, because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now because I've won all these cases. Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department. I mean, Jack Smith had cases all over the place. People were being subpoenaed. Lives were being ruined. They were spending everything they had, money. We were helping them out. We had to. They were subpoenaing people that had no idea what they were even talking about. That's a sick group of people. And it was all to influence the election. It was all a fight against a political opponent. We've never had that in this country. We have had that in certain countries. We've had that in third-tier countries. We've had that in banana republics, but we've never had that in a place like the United States. I don't even know if it's been on a small level. I'm sure it has been on a small level, but this was the largest level ever. They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy. His picture was perfect. Because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut job. But we won all of those cases with him. And, I mean, I don't know the judge in Florida, but we had a brilliant judge in Florida that saw right through it. and we won the case. She was a brilliant judge with great courage. You know, the left, as we call them, the radical left,
President-elect Donald Trump,
they play the ref.
Going from talking about data centers that he plans to build in the United States to offshore drilling to his cases, his court cases. He does face sentencing in the New York case on those 34 felonies this Friday, Dave, from what we know yet, right? That case is continuing.
Yeah. And we expect, as we were talking to our KSL legal analyst, Greg Skordas, for him to receive a sentence that, quite frankly, Greg Skordas, he said, in 43 years of practicing law, I've never seen it, but the sentence will involve no jail time, no fines, and no probation.
Our producers and reporters are continuing to monitor this live news conference from Mar-a-Lago, and we'll keep you updated. If the president-elect says anything at all, that we think that you need to hear about, we will certainly bring it to you the moment it happens or shortly after. There is a man in Scottsdale, Arizona, who hailed a self-driving taxi. And I just learned that Dave was in sort of a self-driving car recently, so I can't wait to hear your story about this. But here's what happens next after he gets inside this self-driving taxi, Dave, and it's going to take him to Sky Harbor International Airport because he's got to catch a flight.
I'm in a Waymo
Connected
car.
to rider support. This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
This car is just going in circles.
I love in the background you can hear that you are in a Waymo car. Let us know how this is going. And he's like, we are spinning in circles. We're doing donuts in a parking lot. And I'm getting dizzy.
So he calls the helpline because he's in this car and it's driving, like you said, in circles.
If you have your app pulled up, I need you to tap My Trip in the lower left corner of your app.
Can't you just do it? You should be able to handle it. Take over the car. You don't need my phone.
I don't have an option to control the car.
Oh my
I'm really so sorry about this.
Well, can you stop this car?
Over. I am trying to pull it over right now. Apologies.
And it's unfortunately we don't have radio you can see right now, because what you see is in the video of social media post is he's in the back seat of the car, of the taxi, the self-driving taxi, and in the front seat there's no human, but the steering wheel is going back and forth like somebody is, or like there's somebody invisible driving that car. He does get dropped off. Waymo told CNN that he was in there for about, I think it was like 5 minutes, but they got the car stopped. They didn't charge him for the ride.
That's nice of them.
What do you think about this?
It is just kind of a strange thing to see because, they're in this parking lot and it's like you're driving circles in the parking lot trying to find a spot to park. He's like, what do I do? It looks very strange because in the driver's seat, there's a seat and there's a steering wheel, and you just see the wheel just turning around, moving around. And he just must have felt absolutely lost of like, well, what do I do now?
Would you hail one of these?
Okay.
Because they're in Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Austin. So if you went to one of those 4 cities, would you hail a self-driving taxi?
Yeah, absolutely.
You would.
Okay, so even I'm watching this unfold, and it's a little weird, but I'll explain to you why I think we have to get past some of these crazy videos.
Okay. 801-575-TALK. Are you all in on self-driving cars? Are you like me in pause mode? Like, I'd rather walk right now. Thank you so much. Dave's all in.
I'll be the guinea pig.
He'll be out. He'll be the first one to jump in the self-driving taxi. Me, I'm going to be standing there waiting outside the hotel, Dave, for, I don't know, somebody to pick me up and drive me. Actually, a human to drive me to the airport. But we're going to take your live phone calls. Are you all in on self-driving cars? Are you in pause mode like I am? 801-575-TALK. And by the way, bonus points if you've actually ridden in a self-driving car. You get to jump to the front of the call line next.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, it came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and over the years, you've heard me praise the Connecticut soft water systems. You've heard that so often, you might be tempted to chuck a shoe at your radio. Well, hang on, because I've got some great news. Get this, Connecticut will pay you $50. I'm not kidding on this. They'll pay you $50 to buy a competing water softener from another dealer. Ready for the rules, though? Well, they're pretty simple. Invite Connecticut of Utah to your home for a free estimate on a Connecticut water softener. If within 60 days of hearing them out, you buy any other system from any other water softener dealer, Connecticut of Utah will fork over $50. That's how sure they are that after hearing them out, you won't settle for anything less than a Connecticut water softener. Now, this offer does expire in 30 days, so don't delay. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com. Tell them Doug sent you.
Febreze. So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
Would you flag a self-driving taxi if you needed to take a ride to the airport? Because this guy got stuck in one, at least for a few minutes. It was driving in circles.
I'm in a Waymo car.
To rider support. This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
This car is just going in circles.
Dave says he's all in. He totally flagged one down. I'm not so sure.
Waymo is delivering about 150,000 rides per week. They're giving you 1 million miles of completely driverless taxi service. Don't you love this idea? I mean, conceptually, don't you love the idea that you're not having to get into a vehicle with somebody that you don't know? You know, you don't know the background, you don't know the driver, and you're just getting in with the robot, right? Now, the robot is not always, if you've ever had a phone, if you've ever had an iPad or a computer, sometimes the computers wig out and they don't act right. So you got to restart it, or there's a little bit of a growing pain. We don't throw the computer away just because it wigs out. We just restart the computer.
Rebecca, did you use Waymo in San Francisco?
Yes, I did.
And?
Several times.
Oh, tell us more.
I absolutely loved it. It was much more efficient, and they were more courteous to people that were crossing the street than the regular Uber drivers. I've had Uber drivers in Salt Lake City and in San Francisco, and they are crazy. I have feared for my life a couple of times. I had a drunk Santa once in a Santa suit, drunk on I-15, and we nearly crashed.
Oh, so you're like you prefer the driverless cars. No human involved.
Both. There's a necessity for both, but it was very safe. Glitches happen, but It stopped. It slowed down at speed bumps. It didn't run the red lights, or when it was completely yellow, go all the way through like many drivers do. I was really fascinated by it, and then I didn't have to tip.
Oh, you don't have to tip.
No, you don't tip. And in most cases, they were cheaper.
Oh, okay. So it's reasonably priced. You don't have to make small talk. You said they're courteous, and the car obeyed all of the traffic rules.
Yeah, and I said, Waymo, play whatever music I wanted, and it played whatever it wanted for me, and it got me there efficiently. And yeah, I was fascinated by it, and I have no qualms about it.
You're starting to sell me on this. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca. Appreciate it. But then you watch this video of this man that is in a parking lot, and it's like a reverse NASCAR. Right turn, right turn, right turn, right turn, and he's just kind of going around in a circle in this parking lot, and there are cars all over the place, and it's not going fast. This is not like they're spinning out and speeding. It's just kind of stuck in a loop right now, as this man had to call Waymo and say, I've got an issue here.
I have to give a shout out to Waymo because I was impressed with how quickly they stopped the car and they got things ironed out.
If you have your app pulled up, I need you to tap My Trip in the lower left corner of your app.
Can't you just do it? You should be able to handle it. Take over the car. You don't need my phone.
I don't have an option to control the car.
Oh
Mike,
my
I'm really
gosh.
so sorry about this.
Well, can you stop this
I'm
car?
pulling the over. I am trying
My
to pull
goodness.
it over right now.
They said it just took a couple of minutes. They got things figured out. They didn't charge the guy for the ride. That's good customer service. I'm hesitant to get in these vehicles. Rebecca's got me interested, but I'm not quite 2 feet inside the back seat yet.
I get the growing pains are not fun to live through, and you don't want to be the guinea pig that is living through the growing pains, right? Because this was kind of fun. The guy's, not scared. He's more annoyed than anything, it seems, from this video. But we don't like growing pains, and we don't like to be the guinea pigs. But this is how you improve the software, is you have to put miles on. You have to make mistakes. And then the engineers go in and they see the problems and they rewrite the code. And you just need a lot of miles on this. But somebody's got to get in that car, Deb.
So have you recently told me that you went, not quite a self-driving car, but you were inside kind of an autonomous vehicle?
Cybertruck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll post this story later on, but I jumped in the car with a local business man, and he and his wife, they took me on my first Cybertruck ride, right? And a lot of people, I was probably the last person to the party on this, but I've never driven in one, and they are weird looking, and I fell in love with them. It's super powerful, but we were downtown, or we were, I don't know, maybe a few miles away from downtown, and they went full autonomous driver in the Cybertruck and said, hey, take me downtown and then take me back, and let's just do it all autonomously. And that's exactly what happened. So I rode full on. He had zero hands on the wheel. He wasn't adjusting the brake or the acceleration, anything. And it did. It merged onto the highway. It navigated traffic, red lights, stoplights, all of this. It was beautiful. There was one little hiccup we had where the driver had to take control of the vehicle because we were going to crash into a median on the freeway. It was one of those weird kind of the road splits off, and it was like the vehicle got paralyzed. It wasn't sure, do I go left or do I go right? Because there was a vehicle we were supposed to merge left, but there was a vehicle that had kind of blocked our way. Typically you just speed up or you slow down, and it was just kind of driving at the same speed of this vehicle, so we couldn't get over left, and we were just heading like straight toward the barrier, and I was getting a little scared, and the driver took control, floored it, sped up and passed and merged over left. But it was enough that I'm like, that was a little scary. That was a little scary because 99% of that drive, absolutely no problem. But it only takes one mistake for something dangerous to happen.
So the difference between what I'm hearing your experience was and what the Waymo taxi is, the Waymo taxi didn't have anybody in the front seat. This man who hailed the taxi was in the back seat, and the car, the steering wheel was going back and forth on its own. But your experience was the driver was in the driver's seat and could take control of the car.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, and if that was not the case, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if the autonomous vehicle would have made that sharp acceleration and swerve over into a lane. I don't know what it would have been. I was glad that someone took over.
Special half hour straight ahead. Inflation, Christmas shopping, new snow tires. Too much on your credit card is ruining your credit score. Next, we're going to take a deep dive into why it matters to your budget and how to fix your credit score.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
We're just a week into the new year. Have you thought about a new you? You thinking about losing some weight? Maybe a New Year's resolution to maybe get in better shape? Salt Lake City Fat Loss was fantastic for me. I joined it about 10 months ago, and with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, I lost 57 pounds in just 60 days. Now, they told me that I could do this. They said, we have the secret to losing up to a pound of fat per day. I thought that's way overly optimistic, but sure enough, that's almost exactly what I lost in 60 days, 57 pounds. I was so happy. The results were so incredible that I was amazed. So if you're interested in losing some weight, Salt Lake City Fat Loss worked great for me. Go ahead and reach out to them online at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Tech scams, identity thieves, data leaks. Hearing about these online threats every day can be stressful. But don't worry. McAfee Total Protection is here to help you live a worry-free life online. What does worry-free mean? Well, it means you won't have to wonder if that text message is a scam, if new threats will pop up on your PC, or if you're safe from identity theft. Visit McAfee.com/online protection today to get award-winning online protection for just $39.99 your first year. That's McAfee.com/online protection. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Check out AMCO's multiple financing options so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If you're driving to work or you're driving the kids to a soccer game, we're your in-car companions.
People will come up to me and say, "Oh, I talk to you every day. You don't realize it because I'm talking at the radio, but I talk to you every day."
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio. KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top story this hour. Get ready to see some strong winds in parts of northern Utah today. Forecasters say people in Salt Lake City and Brigham City could see winds between 45 and 55 miles per hour, and they'll be even stronger in parts of Davis County.
Bountiful to Layton, you are looking at gusts anywhere from 55 to 60 miles an hour, especially towards the proximity of those canyon mouths.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says the winds should peak around noon, but strong gusts could last into the night. Several thousand homes and businesses between Ogden and Riverdale were in the dark for a time this morning because of a damaged transmission line. Rocky Mountain Power was able to make the fixes fairly quickly and get most of the people back online. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Jimmy Carter's body is being moved from Atlanta to Washington, D.C. this morning. Once in D.C., his body will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda for several days. Your money at this moment, the NASDAQ has lost almost 300 points. The Dow and S&P 500 are down under 50 points. Coming up, it's windy and dry. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay, things people love.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? It seems impossible to find them. Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, it's Kathy.
And Jason from Window World.
Doug and I have always been called the mom and pop Window World business.
Where folks are treated like family.
Well, now it's mom and kids.
And you'll still be treated like family.
Here's our welcome to the family special.
4 windows and a patio door, only $56.12.
That's right, folks. 4 windows and a patio door, only $56.12.
Call today, 801-281-8111.
Window World. Simply the best.
And as Doug always said, that's no baloney.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. We do have a crash northbound I-15 at Pleasant Grove in Utah County. Now, we had emergency crews on the scene blocking 2 right lanes of travel. Looks like only 1 right lane is now blocked, but you still have a little bit of slowing in that area. That's the only delay that I can find anywhere across the Wasatch Front, so that's good if you're having to get onto the roadways right now. At the Utah Expo, we have a vehicle for almost everything, and we can certainly have a vehicle for your thing. Mountain America Expo Center, the 17th through the 20th, AutoExpoUtah.com for tickets. And the updated forecast shows wind today, but not quite as cold tomorrow as had been previously predicted. Today's high should be 39, then 35 tomorrow. People from Salt Lake to Box Elder County will get most of the wind today. Right now, it is 30 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Heather Kelly from KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
And this is going to be a special half hour on helping you repair your credit score because you got inflation, Christmas shopping, new snow tires that you had to buy this year. You got too much on your credit card. You haven't been able to keep up with the payments. It's ruining your credit score. Dave and I, along with our friend and producer for the investigative unit of KSL5 Television, Sloan Schrag, in the house with us right now to walk us through how to fix it.
I don't think we take enough time to look at our credit score to make sure it's a good credit score because we don't realize the downsides of it because oftentimes we don't make those big purchases where it really shows up. For example, if you buy a home, your home mortgage can be 1 to 2 percentage points higher if you have bad credit. So if you don't like the 6.5% mortgage rate right now, you're really not going to like the 8.5% because you have bad credit.
So Sloan, welcome. Always fun to have you with us. Sloan produces with Matt Gephardt quite frequently in the investigative unit, and this is a story that you're familiar with. But Matt produced.
That's right.
Yeah, but you're here. You're here on Matt's behalf. You're representing the team, and you and I worked together for years too.
Sure.
So you know a lot about credit scores, how to repair it, how to find your credit score. Mm-hmm. And let me start here. You can take to social media, Sloan, as you well know, and you can find out there is a lot of confusion over your credit score, why it matters, and what dings your credit score.
If I pay off my credit card right away, does that impact my credit score in a negative way?
What's the best way that I can build credit? Because I still don't have a credit card yet.
Don't, ever. What makes you think you need a credit card?
So a lot of people, they'll make the payment on the due date, and then they think they're good to start spending the next day, which technically you can do that. But wait a minute, not so fast.
My credit's going to drop. I don't know what to do.
I think it's what...
My credit's going to drop, guys.
Yes. I think that's the last one's a little bit of a spoof on it, but it can... Okay, so let's start here. What is a good credit score? Give us some ranges, Sloan.
Well, a good score, I mean, good would be like 679 to about 729, somewhere in there. A very good score is from like 729 up to 800, and then exceptional is 800 and above.
Okay. And where do you find what your credit score is? I know where I find mine. I find it on my banking app. It shows me right there once I click on, one of the links. where is this generally where people can find theirs? I mean, they might not bank at my bank.
They can pull the credit reports from annualcreditreports.com, or they can go straight to the reporting agency like Experian. If you pull a credit report from Experian, it will share your credit score with you from them. And you get a free credit report from Experian weekly now. All three agencies now will let you look at your credit report weekly at this time.
Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion will allow you to download and look at your credit report?
Credit report
Okay.
weekly. That might not include the score, but if you go to the agency directly, then you can probably see your score.
I can see my score. I have all of their apps downloaded on my phone, and I can see my score there as well.
So when it comes to credit scores, you mentioned what is a good and what is an exceptional. At what point, like what should you reasonably expect your credit score to be? I mean, I don't know if I can move mountains. Do I have to move mountains to have an exceptional score? What are some of the things that I have to do?
Well, I think the biggest thing you have to do is pay your payments on time. That's like 35% of your credit score right there. That's the really big factor in determining whether you're creditworthy or not, is if you bank your payments on time.
Even if it's the minimum amount?
Even if it's the minimum.
Okay.
I mean, minimum's not always the best, but it's a whole lot better than letting it go late. So
what
yeah.
if you're a buck under the minimum? Is that a problem, potentially?
It could be a problem.
Okay, so stick with the minimum.
Stick with the minimum at least.
Okay, so that's tip number one. You got a second tip for us?
I do. Pay your bills on time, and then keep your balances low. It's called your utilization, how much of your credit you're using. And usually they like to see about 30% or lower. That determines that you're not using all that balance to keep buying stuff. If you can keep it in the single digits, even better. Even better than that is if you can pay off your balance each month.
Okay,
yeah.
So let me walk you through this scenario. This is a Yahoo Finance scenario, and we'll just chat this out to see what happened in this scenario. So there's this, we found this at yahoofinance.com. So there was a guy who's getting ready to buy a home, and his credit score dropped when he paid off his student loan right as he was buying a house, because he thought paying off the loan was, of course, the right thing a smart financial decision, but it dinged his credit score. Paying off a loan can ding your credit score. Why is that?
What they like to see on your account or your credit history is a length of, how long you've had an account open. And so if he's had that student loan for some time and then he pays it off, but then he doesn't have another loan that has, a good number of years, that could drop your credit score, because they like to see the length of time on there. So if you have an old account that's still there or, at zero, it might be a good idea to keep it open just so you have that length of time established.
Do we have any idea what kind of volatility is in a credit score? So let's say that for the last 10 years, I've made all of my payments on time. I'm carrying some debt, but then I miss a house payment, or I'm 15 days late or 10 days late on a house payment. Is that going to basically say, hey, your last 10 years are garbage and it absolutely crashes, or is it kind of incremental?
It's incremental. I mean, if you miss a payment, 30 days late is a whole lot better than 60 days late, which is a whole lot better than 90 days late. So if you miss a payment, handle it, take care of it. Don't let it go much later than what you've already missed. It's not impossible to repair. It will take time, of course, because it will be dinged on your credit report. But if you keep letting it go, I've screwed up, I'll never get past this, well, then you will tank your credit. So, yeah. Handle it. Call the lender. Ask if you can negotiate a term, for your payment to bring your account back up. And then once that's paid, if you look at your credit report and the late payment is still there, ask if it's recorded. You've paid the loan, but it's still there, recorded as a late payment. Ask them to remove it as a courtesy. They don't have to, but they might do that for you.
Sloan Trigg with the KSL5 Investigative Unit in studio with us right now. He walked down the hall and joined us live for the special half hour. So glad you're with us, because I know a lot of people are suffering from anxiety related to their credit score. And maybe they've had some things on their credit report. They don't know how to fix it. And they're trying to start this new year off fresh by improving their credit score, spending less money. So I think this will be really helpful as we dive deeper into this topic, Sloan. I had my credit score dinged behind my back. And this happened in the year 2020 when I walked out of studio. My phone rang, and it was a debt collector saying that I needed to pay up on my payday loans I'd taken out. I'm like,
my
I've never
gosh,
taken out.
yeah.
I didn't tell you the story.
No, I'm so
surprised
sorry.
I didn't come crying over to you for help. I ended up, I was a victim of identity theft. The identity thief or thieves was able to just get online and take out payday loans. They had all of my personal information, my personally identifiable information, including my Social Security number. They deposited, from what we could tell, the funds that they had received from these online payday lenders or through online payday loans into checking accounts, took the money out of the checking accounts and then closed the checking account, but never made the payments on the payday loan. So everything went against my credit score. I hadn't been checking it on the regular loan, so my credit score dropped. I'm telling you guys this because if your credit score is dropping for no apparent reason, you go online, maybe it's an 800 or you got a 775, and then all of a sudden it's in the sevens, maybe it's dipping into the sixes. You could be a victim of identity theft. Somebody's taking out loans in your name, but they're not making the payments, so it's hitting your credit report and your credit scores.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the Federal Trade Commission estimates that 1 in 5 of us have some sort of error on our credit report. That can include the minimal, the trivial stuff like misspelling on names or bad addresses, but it also includes fraudulent activity. And that's millions of people that will have some sort of activity on their credit report that they're not aware of. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have another story of a misspelled name here, and this is again from Yahoo Finance. This guy's misspelled name meant that his information through his bank wasn't being reported to the credit bureaus, and so they weren't really tracking his credit use, and it was implicating his credit score to some degree, which is odd. I'd never heard of that before.
Well, it may be that the accounts were stale. I'm not exactly sure how that would work against him. In his case, that there was no use. It wasn't a fraudulent use. No one was using the
just we're checking, though. Yeah. Just an odd situation that affected his credit score.
Maybe you guys can walk me through this because I've checked my credit score, and I've always had very good credit. So I've never done a detailed, dive into my credit scores. When you ask the credit companies, do they give you like a list or an explanation of what these are, or do they just give you, hey, you're a 762 and be happy for it?
In most cases, they'll give you a detailed history of all the accounts that are open, what's left on those accounts. So you'll see your most active account, your oldest account, that sort of thing, anything that's current on your credit history. You'll see all that on your report.
If you have a question for us here about your credit score, how to repair it, give us a text at 57500, 57500. We've got Sloan Schrag. He's investigative reporter, producer in the investigative unit. He works closely with Matt Gephardt. They've recently done stories on how to deal with a dropping credit score in light of inflation and in light of credit card use, and you need new snow tires, and you just spent a lot of money on Christmas, and you're trying to repair your credit score. Dave's got a question.
I heard that raising your credit limit can improve your credit score. How does that work?
So that impacts your utilization. So if you have a higher credit rate, and your balance stays the same, your utilization, how much you're using of your credit drops. And so the lower rate, the higher your credit goes. And the utilization is like 30% of your score. So it's a big part of what credit agencies look at. So if you can raise that limit, you can just call your credit card company and say, hey, I'd like to have a higher limit, and they can boost that up. There is some caveats, though, because it will temporarily reduce your credit because most of them will do a hard inquiry. So that's going to knock your score down probably about 10 points temporarily for a couple months, and then it will come back up. Also, if you're tempted, to spend, if you have that higher balance, this is too much of a temptation for you, may not be the best ideal for you.
So let's say I have $5,000 in credit card debt and a $10,000 limit. If I call my credit card company and say, hey, can you increase it? And they raise it to, say, a $30,000 limit, well, it doesn't really change how much I still owe, but the percentage of my credit, what I owe, and then what is available, that's what improves things.
Absolutely.
And that's beneficial.
Very beneficial, because you're at 50%. If you have 5,000 at 10,000, goes up to 30,000, and I cannot do math on the fly like this.
Yeah,
but
it's a sixth of that. You're right.
It probably drop
18%.
18%, and so that will greatly improve, and that will show up on your credit
Okay.
almost instantly. I mean, it will take maybe a couple weeks or a month or so for it to report back, but that will boost your credit pretty quickly.
And when you go to like a big box store and they offer you a 20% discount to open up a store credit card, they will inquire through the credit reporting bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, to see your credit worthiness. And this could ding your credit score.
It certainly could, yeah. The more inquiries have, if you go like in a shop, if your Christmas shopping was based on opening new credit cards, store cards, you've done like 3 inquiries, that could be a big 30-point drop or more on your credit report or credit score. And that could really hurt you when you're trying to buy a car or get a house, that sort of thing.
What's your opinion on this, Sloan? This texter says, I pay my credit card balance full each week. Is that helping or hindering my credit score?
It's a good question. I don't have the exact answer. I think it helps because it keeps your utilization low and you're using your credit card at the same time.
Can I chime in here? I do pay my credit card almost immediately after I use it, at least within the first 5 days or so. I'm on my app. They make it so easy now, right?
Yeah.
You just need an app and you transfer the money over from my checking or my savings or whatever it is. And my credit score is pretty good. I'm proud of it right now. It took me a while to repair it after the identity theft, because once that happens, it's really, you do have to climb back up that credit score hill. Even though you have a police report, this is your victim of identity theft and all. So it did take me a while to regain 800 status.
Do you
on
remember
my
how
credit
much
score.
it dropped you?
It was down in the low 7s. It might have even been in the 6s. And by the way, each credit reporting bureau might show a different credit score number for you. I looked at mine recently, and like one is lower than the other, but they're all kind of in the same range.
Right.
I tend to do a lot better for some reason on Experian than I do on the others.
Yeah.
What's some tips that you have to start repairing our credit if our score starts dipping? Besides making sure if you find out if you're a victim of identity theft,
Right.
what can we do?
Well, as Dave does, you pull your credit reports often and you check for errors, because that 20% of us do have some sort of errors on our account. We can dispute those, and that will take a month or two for that to have some impact on your credit. The other thing that you should do is, we talked about if you're really hurting, you can apply for like a secured credit card. And that is, you put a cash deposit down that pretty much acts as your credit limit, and you use it as a credit card, in that meantime, and that will allow you to establish, your payment history, and then you can increase your deposit, and sometimes they'll increase your limit as you go through. So that could be a good way to start rebuilding your credit and move it back up. It will take a little time to do it, but that's another way you can do it. I guess the other thing is just there's not like one fix that will instantly fix, these aren't going to make fast changes.
Right.
It's just, paying your bills on time and then keeping that balance low will be your best bet.
This listener says, I have a rental home with no mortgage, wanted to remodel it, so took out a HELOC loan. Credit score was 800 plus before I did this, and afterward my credit score dropped below 750. Why?
I don't have the magic answer. I suspect it was the inquiry itself.
Yeah.
And you also probably...
maybe the amount you take out on the HELOC.
Right.
Will impact your credit score to some degree, depending on what that borrowing ratio is to the amount that you have available on the loan.
Right. The utilization drops, or goes up if you're using that. The other thing, I guess, to think of is when you have a good mix of credit on your credit history, like not just credit cards, but if you have a car loan or a HELOC, if you have that mix, I think that eventually will help boost their credit back up. It just takes a little while for it to happen.
What's the number that I should be panicking at if it drops 20 points, 50 points, 100 points?
Well, I mean, I couldn't give you a certain number, but like a 20-point drop, you're going to get lower or higher interest rates. You could pay thousands more for a car, tens of thousands more for a home, over the length of a mortgage. So yeah, if you see a 20-point, 30-point drop, I would start looking into the reason why. If you're not aware of any cards you've opened, any new accounts you've established, If you've not been late, if there's no reason to figure out why you've dropped that much, then yeah, I would certainly be looking into what happened there.
Somebody asked real quickly, Sloan, I don't know if you know the answer to this. Can you have a perfect credit score? Is that 850?
That is 850.
And this guy said, I haven't had a credit card. I haven't paid interest on credit cards in more than 30 years, and I have an 830 credit score. He wants a perfect credit score. That's pretty close.
That's pretty close. I think I spoke to one person in my entire life that did have an 850. So it's possible.
They're out there.
Those
Those unicorns exist.
You just have to do better.
Sloan Schrag, thank you so much for joining us as we're giving you as many tips as we can regarding your credit score, because, again, to your point, you may be paying thousands or tens of thousands of dollars more than you need to, depending on your credit score. So make sure you can get that credit score repaired or improve it as best you can.
Yeah, love the tips. Thanks so much, Sloan. And, next time I've got an identity theft crisis, I'm going to run right back to the I-team and sit there and cry.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cry. You guys can help me fix it.
Yeah.
I fixed it. I froze my credit as well. And I have I did an entire episode on that when Dave was gone in December, so folks can go back and listen to that podcast on how to freeze your credit report so people can't run around the nation and open up credit cards and take out payday loans in your name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sloan, thanks a million. Happy New Year. So fun to see you and talk to you for the last 30 minutes about this. Straight ahead, new opinion piece from Jay Evenson. The Deseret News just dropped. Can Musk and Ramaswamy really reduce the national debt? We'll get Jay's take next.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about water softeners is how it makes my skin feel. Now, if you haven't invested in a Connecticut water softener, I did years ago, and I was so happy. And that's really how I look at it, as an investment, especially during the winter season. It just seems like our skin dries up so much, and we just have to bathe in lotion. Well, when we had our water softener installed, we could feel the difference the very first time we took a shower, and you could feel it on your skin. Connecticut water softeners are maintenance-free. They don't need adjustment. They do the job with 2/3 less salt than other softeners, so that's going to save your back. That was always my job growing up, is I had to load the 40 or 50 pounds of rock salt onto my shoulder and then dump it into the bin. Well, with Connecticut water softeners, they're so efficient. Yeah, you use 2/3 less salt, so you only have to deal with it, I don't know, maybe every couple of months. So if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to Connecticut of Utah, 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Connecticut dealer. That's 801-576-8600.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. 4 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Ford Truck Country. All dedicated to delivering you the best auto experience anywhere. Looking for your first car? Maybe you want rugged power or the stylish ride of your dreams. New or used. See it all at PerformanceBountiful.com. PerformanceBountiful.com.
Attention home buyers. Want to save hundreds on your mortgage payment or buy a bigger, nicer home? Visit SaveRight.com. This is Rod with the SaveRight team at Realty Path. SaveRight, our name says it all. SaveRight real estate clients often save $300 to $600 a month on their mortgage. Life of loan savings can be over $300,000. SaveRight clients qualify for and buy bigger, nicer homes. Interest rates are around 7%. SaveRight clients can get fixed rates in the 5s. Our affiliate lender makes it all possible. You can even start with a rate in the 2s. If you're buying or selling a home in Utah, save a ton of money. Hire the SaveRight team of realtors. Visit SaveRight.com for more information.
Hi, Susan. We haven't seen or heard from you.
Cold.
We would like to locate Joyce.
The mysteries that made podcast history
Cherie Warren disappeared.
are now together for free at kslpodcasts.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, the host of Cold. Join me for Season 1, The Susan Powell Case Files. Season 2, Justice for Joyce. And Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Listen anytime for free at kslpodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Winter cold means snuggling up next to the fireplace with a blanket and warm beverage. With the increased use of space heaters and wood stoves, wintertime also means an increase in home fires. During these cold months, here are some things you can do to make your home cozy, warm, and safe. Have chimneys, flues, and HVAC systems cleaned and inspected annually. Be sure space heaters have at least 3 feet of clearance when operating. Turn off and unplug them when you leave the room or go to sleep. Finally, to warn you if there is an emergency, install smoke, carbon monoxide, and natural gas detectors. Have at least 1 smoke detector per floor, inside each bedroom and in the halls leading to the bedrooms. Install interconnected smoke detectors if possible. During Utah's winter, protect the people and things you care about by always practicing home and fire safety. For more information, visit beready.utah.gov and firemarshal.utah.gov/fire-safety. Be ready, Utah. A message from the Utah Department of Public Safety.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top local story this hour. We're learning more about the man accused of killing his girlfriend and leaving her body in a remote area of Tooele County. Investigators say Nestor Rocha Aguaya was deported just 6 days before the woman's death. Text messages show he was reportedly back in the U.S. on January 1st. Solitude Mountain Resort is letting skiers know why they've delayed the opening of some of their lifts. They say they wanted to make sure all avalanche prevention work was completed before the terrain is opened. Several incidents in the past years had skiers and snowboarders in bad positions when they went too close to areas where prevention work was being done. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The body of the late former President Jimmy Carter is now being flown to Washington, D.C. ABC's national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
Watched over by a military honor guard, the body of the former president will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda. Carter's casket will be placed on the Lincoln catafalque, the wooden black cloth-covered funeral bier that was built after Abraham Lincoln's assassination in 1865. Foreign ambassadors, Supreme Court justices, administration officials, and members of Congress will first pay their respects, and then through Thursday morning, everyday Americans can line up at the Capitol to do the same.
A horse-drawn carriage will bring his casket to the U.S. Capitol once it arrives. Your money at this moment, the NASDAQ has lost 300 points, with the Dow and S&P 500 down about 50 points. Coming up, strong winds in northern Utah. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
How's your garage door working right now? Is it smooth? Does it need to be replaced? And do you have any idea who you would call if you needed your garage door taken care of? Well, let me tell you about Advanced Garage Doors.
Yeah, they've got certified technicians who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The great thing is they've got the same-day service available to you.
Yeah, same-day service is key when all of a sudden it's halfway up and you can't get your car in or out. Make sure you reach out to Advanced Garage Doors. Any garage door or motor that is installed by these guys includes a free inspection, and then you get a tune-up once a year.
Yeah, they've got a lifetime warranty on all residential garage doors and the parts that go with them. So you'll get that peace of mind knowing that your garage door is always protected as long as you follow their recommendations.
Financing is available. You can design your dream garage door on the website, a new garage door. I just painted mine, and it transformed the look of the home. If you get an entirely new garage door, it will freshen up that home in an incredible way.
Yeah, that's right. And they're really, really easy to get a hold of. Let me give you the phone number. It's a new phone number, so make sure you put this one in your cell phone. You have it handy when you need them. 801-989-3667, 801-989-DOOR.
Or advanced-door.com.
traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. And we don't have any real problems on the drive this morning. A couple of minor fender benders, but they're on the shoulders, so not causing any delays on I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. You have a good commute if you're on the east and west side belt routes or going through Parley's Canyon. We do have winds picking up in northern Utah with the strongest gusts predicted to hit Davis County, but calmer tomorrow. Gusts could reach up to 60 miles per hour. Right now, it's 34 degrees with clear skies. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Can Musk and Ramaswamy really reduce the national debt? That's the headline in the latest opinion piece from Jay Evenson of the Deseret News. We're going to talk about it right now.
We love spending money. We love it in this country. We love it in our personal budgets. But there's nobody that loves spending as much as D.C., and our federal government has spent so much more than they've brought in for years now, Jay, and it finally feels like somebody seriously is taking a look at this, and that's when Trump unofficially created DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and it was going to be led by the richest man in the world, and Vivek Ramaswamy, who was a political candidate and has been very successful in his own right.
The hope is that, yes, they will at least begin a discussion on Capitol Hill. Now, it's not an official department. You have to have Congress create departments. So they don't have any power. They have they're an advisory group. But at least if they can start Congress talking in terms of what we need to do to get closer to a balanced budget, that would be so refreshing. Look, the problem is if you want to win political office in this country, you do it by promising things, and things generally cost money. You don't get up there and say, if you elect me, there's going to be pain, I'm going to cut some of your benefits, et cetera, because people won't vote for that. But that's exactly what we need. We have runaway spending in this country.
Looking at Social Security, looking at Medicare spending, do you think they'll tackle that, Jay? What's your thoughts? What's your research showing that?
You know, it'll be very interesting to see what they actually try to do. Now they've been talking. They have a goal of cutting $500 billion. Let's put that in some perspective. The deficit on a yearly basis is about $2.1 trillion. So we're talking about a quarter, a little bit less than a quarter of that. They're not talking about balancing the budget. I do happen to think, however, that if we just take steps, even baby steps, in the right direction, that investors will regain confidence and that it will spur a resurgence in our economy. Just that signal that we're becoming serious about it. And then, I mean, this is something you can't fix overnight.
Baby steps is an interesting way to describe it, because I think that's what we have tried for a very, very long time. Is, you know, we talk a good game, we might nibble around at the edges, but when you're spending $2.1 trillion more than you're bringing in through taxes and revenue, I can't help but look at what Argentinian President Javier Milei has done, and he's actually met with Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Donald Trump, and he's known for massive cuts in Argentina, where he actually ran on massive cuts to government spending. He cut the departments, you know, the departments in the government by half. Like, he just got rid of entire departments. It would be the equivalent of getting rid of the Department of Education and Housing and Urban Development and State. I mean, he just started getting rid of entire government agencies.
And that's probably what you have to do in the long run. You reach a point when it becomes a crisis, and then you have the public on your side saying, no, we need to cut. We can't continue this way because you have to inflate the economy. You have widespread unemployment. You have real problems. We're not there right now. I mean, the sun is shining. everyone's in their boat, nice calm waters. We can sort of hear the waterfalls in the distance, but we're like, no, we don't need to worry about that right now. Everyone is a great boat captain when the sun is shining and everything is great. But now is the time to begin solving some of these problems before they become crises. And somebody needs to take charge and say, this is what has to do. Now, Congress has to make the final decisions, right? No matter what Ramaswamy and Elon Musk suggest. So it still comes down to political decisions, and it's short-term pain for maybe some long-term gain, and that can be difficult.
It's entitled, Can Musk and Ramaswamy Really Reduce the National Debt? We're joined by Jay Evenson of the Deseret News. He's the opinion editor there. It's one of his many opinion pieces that he's written over the course of, how long have you been the opinion editor now?
Since 1996. So how many years is that? That's almost 30. That's 29 years.
It's a long time, Jay. So I look at this and I think, well, it's not a real government agency. Any sort of recommendations that they make will be just that, recommendations. They can be taken seriously. They can be implemented. They can be looked at by the Trump administration. They can be looked at by Congress. But ultimately, does this feel a little bit like maybe it's a little bit flimsy at this point?
It sounds a little bit like political theater, and I hope that's not true. But to be serious about it, and I mentioned this in the column, they will have to speak truth to Donald Trump and tell him, look, if you're going to do away with taxes on tips, that's going to cost money, and that's going to raise our deficit. Some of the other things, the Committee on a Responsible Government, which is a private organization, but they looked at Trump's promises and found that even if you offset them with the tariffs and other things, it would still cost about $7 trillion more over 10 years than what we're currently spending. So to get serious about it, yeah, they have to confront the guy who's appointed them and say, look, you can't do some of the things you want to do.
One thing that gives me some hope with Elon Musk and Ramaswamy is Elon Musk has a bully pulpit. He's got social media, and he's promised there's going to be what he calls an epic leaderboard of dumb government spending. So he is going to publish constantly. This is what he claims to do. He's going to publish a leaderboard of like, hey, this many billion is being spent here, or this, hundreds of millions is being spent there. Dumb government. And I think there's going to be a social pressure. And I think government officials are going to have to start answering to a lot of this spending, because when they pass these omnibus budgets, we have no idea where the money's going. No one's reading these thousands of pages.
Right. We all remember, was it the $1,000 toilet seats in the military a few years ago?
Well, we've had that.
Yeah.
Actually, we just don't pay attention to it. I think it's called the Pig Book. I'm going to fact check myself on
Pig
that.
Book,
And
the
it's been
Festivus report from Rand Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's been around, and are we just not paying attention to it, where it highlights government spending that's raises your eyebrows of what you pointed out, like the toilet seat that costs way, way, way too much when we're all spending $10 on a new toilet seat at the local big box store. Government spending thousands.
So there's sort of this imaginary flashlight, right, back in Washington, and so only certain people are able to carry this flashlight, and they shine it on things, and then get the public's attention. You're right; these things have been out there. There are reports on government waste. No one's paying attention, but perhaps Elon Musk is important enough to grab a flashlight and show some of these things and get our attention and get people talking and applying some pressure on Congress.
You want to talk about a flashlight? He's got X. He's got 211 million followers. And if a post goes viral, I think it's going to be very hard when that flashlight is being shined on some of this spending to be like, oh, no, everything's fine, nothing to see here. And that's where I think maybe the hope comes from. The difference for me, though, is Javier Milei was elected president of Argentina, and he was empowered to make these harsh changes. Elon Musk, as you were saying, they have no power to make any changes, only recommendations.
Right. And so it really is up to the politicians. So you have to have enough pressure, and it has to be coming from the public, from voters, in order to really make a difference. It's going to be very interesting to watch the next couple of months.
Jay Evenson, thank you so much for joining us. From the Deseret News, you can read Jay's stuff at Deseret.com. Can Musk and Ramaswamy really reduce the national debt?
Next, inflation's cramping family budgets. We've talked a lot about that on the show. So what's McDonald's doing about that? We'll talk about it next.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home, your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Join KSL this Friday at Minky Couture in Layton, 1782 Woodland Park Drive from 11 to 1. Minky's got you covered this winter season. The original luxury blanket company. Go to minkycouture.com.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Let's talk about what McDonald's is doing about inflation. Because we know inflation has been cramping a lot of family budgets.
Priced out. Inflation. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
In fact, a survey last fall, I think it dropped in October from Bankrate, talked about 41% of Americans said inflation is the top economic issue as we were heading into the November election. So. And it turns out, it looks like a lot of Americans did vote with their pocketbooks because it's hard to make ends meet with the way inflation is impacting our family budgets. So what is McDonald's and another fast food chain, we'll talk about that too, doing about it?
They're going to help us out with the McCalorie and the McCholesterol. That is the key. They're going to make it more accessible, I think.
Have you felt? How do you feel when you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's or any fast food restaurant lately in the last couple of years?
Fast food has, number one, been so overpriced in the last couple of years. It's just absolutely staggering. The two biggest cases I will not forget is when I went through and grabbed some fast food breakfast. It was just a sandwich, some hash browns, and a drink, and it was $13.50 for a breakfast sandwich, one of those little deep fried hash browns, and a drink. $13.50. And then a different day, different lunch, I got a burger, fries, and a drink for $23. They have outpriced themselves, and it has driven me away from fast food. I will sit down in a restaurant before I go through fast food anymore.
So here's what McDonald's is doing starting today. they're launching across the country McDeals. They're actually called the McValue meal. Didn't they have the value meal for
the dollar
menu?
value meal?
The meal,
Yep.
yeah, for a while. And then I don't even know what happened to that and when it happened. I don't go to McDonald's as much as I used to. But they had this $5 meal deal come out, and they've decided they're going to extend it through this summer. So you get this $5 meal deal. You get a choice of a sandwich at McDouble or McChicken, small fries, 4-piece chicken McNuggets, a small soft drink. I guess a McDouble might cost a little bit more, like $6 at some locations. But for $5, you get enough to fill you up.
Yeah, there's some deals that they have out there. Sometimes you have to download the app and you have to find the deal that's only good for one day on Wednesday, in the third week of the month, whatever. There's a lot of workarounds, but when you drive up, mostly you just want to look at the menu, find something cheap, and then just order it. You don't want to have to jump through a bunch of hoops and specials and deals. So I think this is long overdue. It's about time they bring back the true value menu. And I'm not just talking about McDonald's. All of the fast food chains need to have these extreme value menus.
Well, here's another deal. Buy one, get one for $1 deal. So breakfast items are the sausage McMuffin, the sausage biscuit, sausage burrito, and hash browns. Buy one, get one for $1. That sounds like a pretty good deal. And then lunch and dinner items are the 6-piece chicken McNugget, the double cheeseburger, McChicken, and small fries.
That right there, when you're driving through with your family, that is a little bit more reasonable. I've taken my family through McDonald's, and it's cost me well over $60 for basically a burger, fries, and a drink. This was not loading up kids.
How much?
Yeah, $60. I mean, you figure it's $12 per value menu or value meal, $10 or $12. And next thing you know,
$5, Dave. Are they not $5?
They were. I mean, this
okay.
is what they're going back to,
Yeah,
right?
okay,
They're going to have some value
extending that.
meal, but right now you can go and just order the number one, and if you upsize it, you supersize it. Next thing you know, it's $10 per meal. You got 5 kids, 5-6 people in your family, you're paying a premium.
I want to get text messages in the next few minutes. 57500. What are you paying for a fast food burger these days? 57500. Shoot us a text real quick if it's safe to do so, because I haven't been through a drive-through in quite a while. Dave, it sounds like you're spending a lot of money at drive-thrus. Have you stopped going as often?
Yeah, I'm not spending a lot because I'm not going any longer, and I've started to, not just for health reasons, but for financial reasons. I just couldn't justify. I'm like, this does not taste $10 to my taste buds.
Mm-hmm. So would you rather go to a sit-down meal instead of a drive-through or a fast food meal?
Yeah, it surprised me how much more affordable it was, or at least was in the ballpark of being affordable to actually sit down and order a meal versus going through the fast food. Now, fast food has its place because it's convenient and it's fast and it's good enough, but I've looked at it and I just can't justify the cost anymore.
Subway's doing something similar. We're talking about McDonald's coming out with a new McValue meal starting today. I think it could be a response to inflation. How much fast food has been cramping our pocketbook. We just can't justify it anymore. They want to keep profits rolling in like any corporation does. Subway is also offering some new value, a new value meal, $6.99, 6-inch sub, choice of 2 cookies or chips, a small fountain drink. Or for a little under $10, $9.99, you get the foot-long sub, a choice of 2 cookies or chips, and a small fountain drink. So Subway's, they've got a good deal too going on.
Yeah, and if you want to go somewhere nicer, if you want to get something deluxe, great. They have those options as well. I just like having multiple options. Sometimes I do want to spend and maybe get all the bells and whistles and premium meats. But if I want to go on a budget, then maybe I want to have the option of the $6.99 deal.
This texter says Applebee's and other restaurants are cheaper than McDonald's now. That's how they feel about it.
Half off Appies.
Is that what it is?
We go to half off appetizers as a family. If you go after 9 o'clock, you get half off appetizers. I can feed
at
my
Applebee's?
At Applebee's, yeah.
Well, guess
half
where
off
I'll be
Applebee's
tonight. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, you can load up. It's like loaded waffle fries and boneless chicken wings. Yeah, you can feed teenagers. That's how much food you get. You can feed a teenager.
You just got to wait till 9:01 p.m.
Yeah, 9:01, and
Okay.
it's trust me, that is a hard 9 o'clock.
This texter says a lot of fast food restaurants have good values right now. Taco Bell, Wendy's, and McDonald's. You can honestly get a good meal for $5. This texter says spent $20 for two of us to get a burger, fries, and a drink at In-N-Out Burger. Yeah, but that's worth it. That's worth it. I love In-N-Out Burger. This texter says, I can't understand how a large fry at McDonald's can cost $4.50. I don't know, but they're good. I love McDonald's French fries.
Yeah,
I love them.
The French fries and the supersize. One thing that I've also noticed with fast food is we've seen a lot of shrinkflation as well with them, where they just have smaller size fries. Even your large fry is like, oh, that was an old medium. What are you guys talking about?
This listener says, oh no, it's the same thing for us. Family of 6, and we're paying $60 for a drive-through at McDonald's. Now Chick-fil-A is a little more expensive. That's at least what they think. And they should mention that the family has 3 teenagers, so basically adult meals. They don't, so they're eating a lot of adult meals in that family.
Yeah, it's pricey. So it's nice to see they're offering more options, and more affordable options.
It feels like we're getting back to like 2018, 2019 a little bit when it comes to the drive-through, the fast food. I'm going to maybe I'll go through McDonald's today and report back tomorrow.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. Straight ahead, Meta saying it's almost all but getting out of the fact-checking business and moving in with community notes.
I think they've come a long way, Meta.
President-elect Donald Trump responding to the change just moments ago. We'll have more in the 11 o'clock hour. Straight ahead.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Let's talk about Mountain Home Services. Now, Mountain Home Services is comprised of 2 great companies that you've worked with and had come into your home for years. One is Mountain Air. They handled your heating and air, and then Master Electrical Service. They've combined forces and formed Mountain Home Services.
Of course, Master Electrical Services, we've been telling you about them for quite some time now. They've been around since 1954, and they can service your electrical needs. You need new recessed lighting in your home. You need some outlets replaced, an EV charger, a generator. They've got you covered there. And then you add Mountain Home Services to the mix.
You've got the heating and air. You've got your plumbing. My mom actually had them come out and clean her fireplace. And she's like, it's like brand new. It was 20-something years, had never been cleaned. She's like, they came out, and it's like I have a brand new fireplace. Yeah. So they've gotten into the fireplace game, too.
Yeah, they can help you pick a fireplace out as well. So it all comes with that upfront pricing guarantee, which means no hidden fees.
100% satisfaction guarantee. All you have to do is go to Mountain Home Services by going to their website, mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or you can call them at 801-543-2222. Let me give you that number one more time. 801-543-2222.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claim's paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. An art teacher at Oak Canyon Junior High has been placed on administrative leave after being arrested on suspicion of possessing child pornography. Rich Stoll with the Alpine School District says they acted immediately, and they're now working with the Utah County Sheriff's Office in the investigation.
I can tell you all district employees undergo a criminal background check prior to beginning employment. And this employee had also.
The teacher has been identified as Travis Adamson. Arrested documents say he used his school email address to obtain some of the files. He's facing multiple charges. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is finalizing a rule to erase $49 billion in unpaid medical bills from the credit reports of about 15 million Americans. ABC's Elizabeth Schultze has more.
This doesn't mean you don't have to pay medical debt, but the government watchdog says it can no longer be factored into your credit score. This change is set to take effect in March, though lawsuits or congressional action could delay that timeline. Several credit reporting agencies have already taken some voluntary steps to remove medical debt from their reports, but banking and debt collection industry groups have argued that this rule will result in reduced consequences for not paying your bills.
This move could boost borrowers' scores around 20 points. Your money at this moment, the NASDAQ is down 282 points. The Dow at one point was down 100, and the S&P 500 is off 41. Coming up, the colder temperatures will stick around. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Be Ready Utah is from the Utah Division of Emergency Management. They join us throughout the year. So I think we can speak to things that are happening right now in your communities. And Brian Stinson joins us right now, an emergency preparedness and outreach specialist. And I want to talk about, now we're in the winter, it can get very cold. If there's a power outage, what do we do to stay warm?
You know, we've already seen that here this year with our winter. One of our communities had a power outage for a while. The whole idea is you've got to stay warm. the very basic things you can do, start putting on layers of clothing. Stay hydrated. Make sure that you're eating plenty of food to maintain your metabolism. But other things you can do also is think about in your home. You don't need to heat your entire home if it gets cold. Think about 1 or 2 rooms. Now, which room would you want to do? Probably one that's on the south side of your house with windows so you can get that sunlight during the day, warm up your house, kind of make it into a solar oven almost. And then at nighttime, because you're not going to have that sunlight, cover those windows with blankets or something to add insulation to the window. So you can do that. And other things that you can also do, of course, well, if you have a fireplace or if you have a non-electric space heater, the electric ones don't work when
the power's out.
Right. You can make sure you can use those, use them safely. Make sure that you're always practicing fire safety. But you can also, even within that room that you've set up, you can maybe even set up a tent or get blankets and couch cushions and make a fort like you did when you were a kid.
I love everything you're saying. I'm building a fort to keep my family warm. I'll be the coolest dad in the neighborhood for sure.
Right, and then get the whole family in there so that your combined
body heat
keeps you warm. And you'll be surprised how warm it actually is.
Fantastic tips, Brian. Thanks. If you don't mind sticking around, we want to continue some of this conversation with Be Ready Utah. Again, fantastic resource, emergency preparedness. Make sure you go to their website, beready.utah.gov.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. We've got good speeds all across the Wasatch Front and dry road conditions, but you may have a bit of wind, especially up north in Weber and Davis counties, so you may feel buffeted around just a bit. But otherwise, we don't have any accidents reported and no problems on I-80 coming out of Tooele County or going through Parley's Canyon. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. The storms have finally moved through, but the colder weather will stick around. Highs in the 30s for the rest of the week. This afternoon, we could see some strong wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour in Davis County. Right now, it's 34 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirits Studios. Listen online at kslradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Woke up to news this morning that Meta, owns Facebook and Instagram and Threads, is going to discontinue its fact-checking program.
Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
So what does that mean, and what is that going to look like when we open Facebook over the next couple of weeks? President-elect Donald Trump already reacting to the news this morning that Meta is changing course.
Meta said today it would stop putting fact checks on its website and instead allow community to
Yeah, well, I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that. Say it?
Do you think he's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past with these
Probably.
officials?
Yeah, probably.
He admitted, if you couldn't hear the reporter there, he said, you think he's responding to the threats that you've made to Meta? He's like, yeah, probably what happened. ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky is joining us right now. And Mike, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so Meta is moving from a fact-checking system to what they're calling a community notes system. And if you use Twitter, which is of course now called X, you might be familiar with community notes. This is a volunteer-based program designed to tamp down on any misleading, hyper-viral posts, things that go viral on the platform that have an intent to mislead or are just plain wrong. And the way this works is that you, as a user of this platform, opt in, and then you are handed essentially posts to either correct or provide more context to. And if there are enough volunteers who agree with you, agree with the community note that you're writing, it will be sort of appended to the post in question for everyone to see. That is how we think it's going to work on Meta's suite of apps, which of course include Facebook, Instagram, Threads, about 3 billion users worldwide when all is said and done when we're talking about Meta's products. So a pretty substantial change here for really popular social networks.
Mike, I was telling Dave earlier when we were talking about this in the 9 o'clock hour that I guess I'd forgotten that there was a fact-checking mechanism on Facebook, because I just wasn't aware that it was still in place. I don't see anything really that glares at me when I'm scrolling Facebook. But what I've researched this morning is that they did have a fact-checking system that launched in 2016. It involved almost 100 different organizations fact-checking in 60 different languages, and they partnered with PolitiFact and factcheck.org. So when I'm looking at Facebook now, I guess I'll be looking for these community notes instead?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, this sort of user-generated, quote-unquote fact-checking system or community noting system. There are about 40,000, we think, people who in some way contributed to the fact-checking system on Meta's suite of products, as you mentioned. Some political organizations out there, some internal Meta employees and what have you. And it was always a challenge for them. It was always a challenge really for the broader social networking space, right? To crack down on misinformation and nefarious actors who are trying to sort of sow discord and spread disinformation online. Do you flag this, given the volume of posts, with an automated system? And is that automated system perfect? Is it going to flag too much? Is it going to flag stuff that isn't relevant to the fact-checking operation? Is it not going to flag stuff that should be flagged, right? Which is obviously a big concern. Mark Zuckerberg says that recent elections feel like a cultural tipping point. That's what he said in his video that he posted this morning. And that it really incentivizes his platforms to move towards promoting free speech. That means, he says, he's rolling back restrictions on certain topics on his platform around things like immigration and gender. You kind of see those as lightning rods, particularly among the right-leaning part of our country. That is Mark Zuckerberg, many experts think, rolling out the red carpet for the incoming Trump administration. And obviously, Donald Trump, president-elect, is hearing that in that press conference.
Well, let me just play a clip of that video, that about 5-minute video that posted this morning. It's Mark Zuckerberg talking about this change.
We're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The U.S. has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the U.S. government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
So, Mike, you've heard a couple different references from Zuckerberg and even the president-elect himself saying, this was a little bit of a strong-arm situation.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a political move, right? And Mark Zuckerberg is making no bones about that. The broader tech space in general has tried to, make themselves a little bit more amenable to the incoming Trump administration, which is known to have problems with certain big tech companies. Meta is one of them, Google is another. So it is in some ways not surprising that we're seeing these platforms make these content moderation adjustments. However, I do think that it's worth mentioning that some of the policies that they're putting forward, namely the community notes system, have had other problems, right? It's not like this is a solution to, an ongoing issue. This is a thing that has some issues of its own. Community Notes, as we've mentioned, works on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X, and they've run into issues with that, either the community notes themselves being inaccurate or misleading themselves, or just taking too long in order to correct the record, right, to provide that additional context. As we know, things can go viral very quickly online, and many have complained on Twitter that these community notes show up late, right? The damage has already been done. The post has already gone viral. Is that going to work in the same way on Meta's platforms? I think that remains to be seen. We still have to iron out some details about exactly how this is going to be implemented. However, just to go back to the political point, one of the other announcements that Mark Zuckerberg made today, which is that the trust and safety team at Meta, which is similar to the content moderation team, is going to move from California to Texas, right? That they are now trying to avoid the perception of bias that people who live in California might bring with them preconceived notions to their content moderation job and over moderate. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want that to happen. He thinks Texas is a better place to do that, though it is a polarized country at the end of the day. So I think there are some pretty big questions as to whether that's going to work.
Mike, I promise we'll let you go. Jump back on Facebook right after this What If. By the way, ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky on the line with us right now talking about these changes that are in the pipeline for Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, where they're saying they're going to trim up their content moderation, meaning less fact-checking on their social media platforms. Let's just say Dave, my friend and colleague, posts a false mugshot of me, and says I've been swept off to the county jail. Of course, this is totally hyperbole. And everybody in my life knows that's not true. But yet now it's going viral. And it potentially gets me in trouble, with my job and with my coworkers and with my friends and my family who don't know it's not true. Is the lack of or the reduced content moderation that's going to happen on these platforms, do we at all project that a post like that could continue to stay up? Or do you think they would have mechanisms in place that me or family members could get that thing taken down ASAP?
So I think it's really a case-by-case basis, and Mark Zuckerberg would tell you that this is exactly what the community note system is for, right? That your friends and your family who know that this isn't true would come together and add a community note to that post, adding additional context, saying, hey, this is a joke, or this is misleading, this is not true, she's free and clear.
Yeah,
right. That's kind of the idea.
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg does say that content moderation isn't gone, right? That posts still can be taken down, but right now they're going to focus specifically on the most extreme cases. So things like gore, child pornography, illicit and illegal content, things like drug trafficking and what have you. That's where they're going to really focus their efforts in terms of taking down posts. Will a fake photo of a mugshot, necessarily rise to that level? I think it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
For the most part, this content moderation game has really been a kind of scattershot deal based on, what the content moderators are paying attention to on any given day. So I think it really is going to depend on how they implement this community notes system.
Mike Dubusky, thank you for joining us from ABC News.
How do you think how do you see this shaking out, Dave? Just
community notes.
We're going to see how it works out in the future, but just for now.
No, I'm very, very interested because we're trying to figure out how to handle misinformation in general. And it has failed catastrophically, I mean, quite honestly, in social media, not just with Meta, but with X, with Instagram, with Snapchat. Misinformation pops up all over the place. It's just because there are way too many posts to be able to police every single one of them. And we're looking at the companies themselves to verify whether or not a post is true, and it's unreasonable. There's just too many. It's impossible to do. So what is the solution? Is it community notes? I actually don't think the solution is community notes. I don't think the solution is having Meta take a post down. The responsibility, I think, has to land on you and me. The individual, not the journalists. It lands on us to say, you know what? Is this true? Is this post that I'm reading, is this fair? Is it balanced? Is it coming from a reputable source? Because you will never get it right if you're a company like this. It's just, there's too much.
Now, Zuckerberg posted that 5-minute video, at least not 5 minutes, but that we saw. And here's what else he said about community notes.
First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
Now, that community notes system has its own problems, and this is what Mike Dubusky had mentioned. One of the problems with community notes is it shows up too late, right? A post goes viral, then they've got to look at it, then they've got to craft the community note, then they got to post it. And there was an example this morning where the community note has yet to show up. It hasn't showed up on X. I'm not even talking about Meta. On X, where they already have an entire community note system going on. The story is Nebraska Senator Deb Fischer. She's getting sworn in by Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, yesterday. Her husband, who is in charge of holding up the Bible that she swears in on, he's standing there, and Vice President Harris goes to shake his hand. And he just nods, refuses to shake her hand, and Vice President Harris kind of awkwardly turns away from him. Like, why did he just not shake my hand? It was an awkward video. And people were obliterating Senator Fisher's husband on this, calling him a racist, calling him all sorts of names, a sexist. Well, other videos and other camera angles show the reason he didn't shake her hand was in part because in his left hand he had a Bible, and in his right hand he was propping himself on a cane. He had no hand to shake Vice President Harris with because he had a Bible and a cane. He would have had to have dropped one of those two to shake her hand. So that's where a community note would have been very helpful to say, listen, this may not be as bad as it looks, but the community note has never popped up.
Well, or I could go look on a different social media platform or on a news platform or on a raw video feed, because a lot of times now you can see raw video feeds on your phone and see if there's something else going on there.
Great point.
Because I did see that video, and I was like, he wasn't really looking up at Vice President Kamala Harris, so I wasn't sure what was going on with that moment.
I see how people got to that conclusion. It does look bad,
and I could fact check it on my own.
Yes,
right. And there's just so much content out there anymore that I take so much content, even posts from people I know, with a grain of salt. You know, like somebody's lost another job and they're posting it on Facebook, and I always feel, badly for that. But I'm also like, well, I don't know what the employer side of the story was in all of this. Now, I'm not going to make a comment about it, but I still like. So I'm looking at this community notes, and you're on X a lot more than I am. In fact, I've come off it recently. I still have an X account. I just don't look at it as much. I don't see how community notes is much different from just the comments section.
You're
'cause
right.
You can go to run to the comments section and look and see if somebody is raising a red flag about a video that might not be a real video. It may be artificial intelligence. It might be an old video. For example, I was recently on a social media platform, and there was a video of a landslide involving homes in Utah, and it said breaking news. Now, I'm a journalist, and I tend to know a lot about what's going on in the news cycle of the day, especially throughout Utah, because we get a lot of emails, and we listen to scanners here, and we have an assignment desk, and we're always getting fed news and information. Well, I knew that landslide was from a couple of years ago, but it made it seem as though it was happening today because it was labeled breaking news. So I would hope, and by the way, I ran to the comments section and people were already commenting, this is very old. This happened several years ago. Still tragic, but happened several years ago. So you run to the comments, I'm not really quite sure that I'm going to notice that much of a difference with the community notes versus the comments I read.
The difference between the comment section and community notes is directly below the post. So it's the first thing you will see even before the comment section, and it tracks with it. So if you have comments that are being posted, well, you might have hundreds of comments. You might not see the correction. The community notes gets prime real estate, so to speak, and it's attached right below the post.
So it sounds like community notes is a way of fact checking. It's just it's another way of fact checking a comment or fact checking a post. But it sounds like Facebook is just getting out of that arena. Largely out of it, not totally, but largely out of that arena.
Yeah, now it falls on we the people.
To monitor.
We have to go in there and we have to make the comments and participate. And they're kind of removing themselves and almost said, you guys worry about the small stuff. We're going to focus all of our time and energy on the truly illegal and dangerous stuff. And that's where we're going to spend the majority of our time and efforts.
So more work for us is what you're saying.
Yeah, we gotta check each other.
Straight ahead, Dave brought this debate to the table this morning during our morning meeting. I think it's going to be the biggest debate of the day. Do you count listening to audio books as actually reading books? We're going to debate this straight ahead.
The best parts of KSL News Radio are so easy to use in the car. Catch the biggest stories affecting Utah's communities throughout the morning. If you miss a newscast, the next one is just a few minutes away. Plus, we have traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s like clockwork. We try to make it easy for your commute, mornings and afternoons. Rely on KSL News Radio.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, it came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
One of the things I love about Be Ready Utah is they give us so many great tips of how to keep you and your family safe. So joining us right now is the State Fire Marshal, Ted Black. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
All right, so with the winter cold right now, the snow, I'm sure you see an uptick in the amount of home heating fires around the state. Why is that?
We do. And oftentimes it's people trying to be creative in heating their home or trying to save money or what they perceive to be saving money.
Like what? What's an example of that?
Well, they'll for instance, they'll start using a wood-burning stove that maybe they really don't have experience using, or they'll use space heaters inappropriately.
That's what you mean by creative? Okay. Not your standard home heating, okay.
So most of the time, you're far better off just to properly maintain your heating system and utilize that to heat your home. In the long run, you're probably going to save money doing that, and it's designed to be safe. That's the purpose, as long as they're maintained properly. And that's one of the areas people forget about, is you want to maintain that, you want to change the filter in it on a regular basis, and you want to have professionals look at these things so that you're not tweaking something thinking it's okay and it's not.
Does a space heater, Ted, get close to like clothes or like a sofa? Is that what can ignite?
Yeah, the challenge is none of us have as much room in our homes as we'd like to have. And so when we use things like space heaters, we have a tendency to get that creep towards the space heater. We may start out with 3 feet all the way around it, which is the recommended distance. But over time, as we become comfortable with mistakes. And so as those things creep, it's interesting. When we do something foolish, the first time we do it, we know it was foolish. Yeah. After that, it's the way we've always done it. And so we continue to perpetuate foolish decisions that, you reach that perfect storm and now you have a fire. And we don't want anybody, I've spent my whole career in fire prevention. We do a far better service by helping you prevent a fire than we will ever do by suppressing your fire. But we need the public's help to do that, and you need to be wise. You need to keep...
Well, I'm looking at it right now here at your website, Winter Fire Prevention. You can click there right on the website. All you have to do is go to beready.utah.gov.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tammy Kikuchi. KSL's top local story this hour. The oldest daughter of former YouTuber and convicted child abuser Ruby Franke is speaking about what it was like growing up in the Franke home in southern Utah. Sherry Franke sat down with ABC's Eva Pilgrim and says her mom abused her as a child.
Around 5, 6, Ruby was really physical, whether it was a slap to the lip or a slap to the cheek. When I would practice the piano, her hand would slam and it was really scary.
She talked about how her mom changed when she started spending time with family counselor Jody Hildebrandt, and the physical abuse turned more psychological. Both Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke were convicted and sentenced to prison on 4 counts of child abuse. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Meta has announced some big changes for Facebook and Instagram.
Getting rid of fact checkers and lifting speech restrictions on things like immigration and gender are just some of the adjustments Meta is now making. Tech journalist Chris Stokel-Walker says CEO Mark Zuckerberg is prepping for what's expected to be a new era of tech regulation.
And an attempt to try and quell any dissent from Republican politicians who will have the power to start and enact decisions against his platforms.
Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the markets are down this hour. The Dow is at 42,692, down 14, and the other markets are a little down as well. Coming up, we'll have a look at the windy forecast and traffic is next. KSL News Time is 11:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. And here's Ricky Meese.
We have a really nice drive in progress on all the Valley freeways, but Salt Lake City PD is working to clear an accident at North Temple and 12th West. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, it's going to be quite windy for a while here along the Wasatch Front. Winds will ramp up this afternoon and persist into the nighttime. Nothing damaging, but look for its strongest gusts to be from Layton to Bountiful, where gusts could reach 55 to 60 miles an hour, and St. George is looking at 25 to 35. And then dry weather locks in on our next snowstorm arrives Saturday night. And currently in downtown Salt Lake City, it is 37 degrees. I'm Tammy Kikuchi from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, where Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
It's the only debate Dave is asked to have with me so far in the new year. The Wall Street Journal, focusing on a budding controversy, saying the literary world is debating whether listening to audiobooks counts as reading. And there's passion on both sides.
I love this story because I'm so passionate about it because I consider myself a voracious reader. But if I'm going to be very, very specific about it, I am a voracious audiobook listener. I don't read a lot of books anymore. I listen to a ton of them. And I absolutely consider myself a reader. Do you?
Yeah. I'm about 50-50. I listen to as many audiobooks as I read. I buy my hardback books secondhand. So any thrift store, you'll catch me in the hardback book area. Not a big fan of paperbacks unless I'm going to the beach, and I'll just read them, and then when I'm done with them, I'll usually turn them back over to the thrift store. But audiobooks, I've been really big into audiobooks lately, especially this last year. What I didn't realize is I'm in good company. According to this Wall Street Journal article, audiobook revenue boosted 27% to almost $800 million. In the first 9 months of, I think, 2024. So $800 million in revenue for an audiobook. Now, here's my worry when I download an audiobook. How's the read going to be? Is it going to sound like a robot in everything that they read? It sounds like it's AI. It's not really a human being reading to me. Because in that case, I might be... I risk, you know what I mean? I got to pull over and take a nap on the side of the road.
There's some horrible narrators out there.
Here's George Orwell's 1984, read by Arthur Lane.
Gates of Imagination presents 1984 by George Orwell, read by Arthur Lane. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, his chin nuzzled into his breast in an effort to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through the glass doors of Victory Mansions, though not quickly enough to prevent a swirl of gritty dust from entering along with him. The hallway smelt of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At one end of it, a coloured poster.
I would listen to that voice forever.
You could read the phone book to me.
Oh, my goodness. Listen to that voice.
It's piercing my soul.
There's no way you reading left to right, top to bottom, in your own voice head, there's no way it sounds better than Arthur Lane.
Here's Stephen Fry reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Chapter 1. The Boy Who Lived. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious, because they
perfectly
just
delightful
hold with
read.
such nonsense.
Oh, you have a pretty good accent there, Deb.
I will say I listened to Boys in the Boat this summer, which took me through a really long road trip. Awesome, awesome book. Can you give it 5 stars? Can I give it 5 stars, 10 stars? I love that book. Very, very well done. And I believe, will you guys fact check me on this there in the control room, Caitlin and Mitch? I believe it was read by the author.
Oh, I will check right now because it's in my Audible right now. Okay, so do you consider yourself to have read Boys in the Boat? You listen to it.
The way you put that. If somebody asked me, like you just did, but let's just say we're at a party, like a little gathering, which I haven't been to in years. But if I were invited to one, somebody approached me and said, "Did you read Boys in the Boat? You've got to read that book." I would say, "Oh, I listened to it."
You would qualify?
But in my personal life, I would absolutely credit myself with reading it personally
100%.
and privately. But publicly, I would be absolutely clear that I had listened to it. Does that make me less than?
I can't believe you have to qualify. You're the person that is so exacting. You're like, "Hey, can I have a couple of fries?" And you reach in and you grab like a 4th fry, which is just one too many. You're like, "Sorry, I grabbed a couple instead of a couple, or a few instead of a couple." Like, listen, if you know the story, you get a pass.
You get to say you read it?
You absolutely
Oh,
100% get the pass.
I don't think so.
Oh, are you? Okay, this is where, are we going to take calls on this?
We
I
are
want
gonna
to
take calls in a
Okay,
few minutes,
eventually we're going to take calls on this because I want to hear from you guys. I think if you listen to the audiobook, it 100% counts as reading the book.
Okay, so Caitlin just sent this to us. It was narrated, Boys in the Boat was narrated by Edward Herman.
Oh, that's not the author.
Yeah, the author is Daniel James Brown. 9 Americans and their epic quest for gold at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. I want to listen to it again. Now, here's the deal. That's a really big book. It's a lot of pages. You have it on. It on audio.
Takes 14 hours to read.
I was going to say it was long. I think I might have ran out of audio points or something.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, 14 hours isn't terribly long for me.
No, it felt well. When you're on a road trip, it's long.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was worth it, though. Yeah. I was actually sad when it was over. Yeah. I wanted to go back and listen, but it was long. So it was great for the road trip. I've also listened to audiobooks a little bit at a time, and that gets a little rough. You get in and out of the car running errands and stuff like that.
Where was I at this? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I have to rewind a lot. But that book was so good. I actually thought it was narrated by the author. That's how convinced I was. That's the downside, though. I'm going to slide into the downside of audiobooks. If it's not well read and beautiful in terms of the tone and the character separation, it can get really difficult to follow. I am in the middle and have been in the middle of another audiobook for 6 months. And there's many characters involved. I think I might have finished it, actually. But anyway, there's many characters involved. And there's a couple of female characters and a main like male character. Well, it became difficult to follow the different female characters because they didn't switch up the narrator.
Okay.
And it was narrated by a female voice. What I think is a little quirky in an audiobook read is when a female voice tries to do a male voice and a male voice tries to do a female voice.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, we were so close there. And then we got this voice shifting. It just sounds odd. It throws me off.
Okay, so they have changed. One of the most popular trends right now on audiobooks is to full on produce an audiobook.
Oh.
So what they do is they have a cast, multiple voices, multiple actors, they have sound effects. It's a flashback to the 1950s when they were doing old radio shows, The Shadow Knows and The Inner Sanctum, with all the bells and whistles, and this is making a huge resurgence. Now, you might convince me that that isn't reading the book. If you're listening to a radio play, so to speak, but an audiobook read verbatim, word for word of the book, that counts.
So chime in, 801-575-TALK. I see your texts dropping in. Those don't count. Those don't count. Text messages will not count. We need to hear from you. We need your live audio. We need your voice on the air. Do audiobooks count as reading the books? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Prime Corn is dedicated to reducing food waste and insecurity by promoting sustainable food practices. Through education, cooking classes, and community initiatives, they make wholesome, accessible food available to our Salt Lake neighbors. Owner and chef Wendy Juarez joins us with more.
Millions of people in America face food insecurity. While a large portion of the food supply, around 40%, ends up in landfills each year, this waste contributes to environmental issues and highlights how food is often not used as efficiently as it once was. According to RTS.com, the average American family of 4 throws away $1,600 worth of produce annually. Prime Corn is committed to addressing these issues by making wholesome, accessible foods available to Salt Lake neighbors. We aim to promote better habits and sustainable practices, showing that there are many ways to repurpose food without making significant sacrifices. We contribute to the solution by offering education, affordable recipes, and community-driven initiatives. Our services include cooking classes, mindful eating experiences, catering, and dining space inside the Bison Night Cafe. Through these efforts, we help foster a more sustainable and mindful food culture in our community.
Learn how you can reduce food waste by visiting primecornfood.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Purchase a new heating and cooling system from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric, and we'll buy back your old inefficient HVAC system. Save up to $4,500 through tax credits and other discounts when you upgrade to a new energy-efficient HVAC system. Yes offers expert technicians, flexible payment options, and our exceptional service guarantee, ensuring your peace of mind. Request your complimentary consultation from Yes today. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
David Dujanovic.
Do audiobooks, listening to an audiobook, does that count as actually reading a book? It's a story in the Wall Street Journal that caught Dave's attention. He read the article and found that there's quite a few different people's accounts of how they feel about this. Personally, I would admit to listening to a book if you asked me at a get-together. Oh, did you read Boys in the Boat? Well, I listened to it on an audiobook, and it was very effective. I love that book. I want to listen to it again.
Yeah, I don't qualify. I do not qualify at all. I
counts.
was like, yeah, I read that book. Oh, I love that book, and I'll talk about it because I don't see any difference between reading the book and listening to the book. You're reading the author's words, or you're listening to the author's words verbatim, and it counts. In this Wall Street Journal, it gives us one example of a lady, Teresa Sutton, and she's like, I've read, air quotes, read or listened to 90 audiobooks this year, and I want to get to 100. So does that count? Does it count? Can you say, oh, I read 100 books this year if you've only listened to the book? 801-575-TALK, we're taking your phone calls.
I have a jealous bone in my body for people who can sit and read. Just read a hardback book and get through a book an entire weekend. If I get through an actual book in an entire weekend, I celebrate. I've run out into the backyard one time years ago after I read an entire book in a matter of hours. It was so good. It was such a page turner. I ran out and I'm like exclaimed, I did it. I read it in just a few hours. In my family, as a standing ovation for Mom. I do really appreciate people who can sit and just read a really good book and get through one right after the other. 801-575-TALK. Does an audiobook count as that?
Linda, we're not going to take your phone call because you're blind and that's how you read them. That totally counts, right? You get a pass. We're talking about me who absolutely can read it, but I choose not to. I choose an audiobook instead. Let's jump to Debbie in Lehigh. Debbie, what do you think?
I think, I'm with Deb. I think that you really do need to read the book to count. And if you don't, then you should admit that you listen to it.
I love
you want me to out it?
Deb, I love that we can listen to these books in our cars. I just really appreciate that we can do that now. And I have, a couple of different apps that I can do that on. And, it's worth every penny. It makes the time go by so much faster. Hi, John.
Hi.
Do you think it's the same as actually reading a book if you're listening to an audiobook?
Absolutely not. I think that, sorry, Dave, I think you're full of it here. The most the most intimate form of communication is this written word thing, and we've got to interpret that in our brains as if we know the author or where this is going, and we can't have someone else intone what the meaning is. We've just got to develop the picture ourselves.
I don't often say this out loud, but when I'm reading a book, actually looking at the pages and the fine print, I appreciate the voice in my head. I appreciate the voice in my head that's creating the characters, what the characters look like, how they sound. Do they have an accent? What does that accent sound like? Thanks, John. Hi, Pamela.
Hi.
Do they count or not?
They absolutely count. Absolutely.
Team Dave.
Because there's so many of us with different issues. As I'm aging, I can't always stay awake, and I get so frustrated trying to hold a book and stay awake and read.
Right?
But boy,
I agree.
Because I can listen, and I still get to have all those images in my head. And there are some readers, I will put down an audiobook if they're a terrible reader, but there are some with multiple voice characteristics that are so effective, and they bring it to life. And then I get to finish a book because, and I also am entering the world of recording books for students who can't finish their reading, who can't get their homework done. I want to audio their books so they can finish a book and do their homework and write their papers.
Super cool. Thanks, Pamela. And I've many times fallen asleep with a book read over my face, But I've also fallen asleep in the middle of an audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like 17 chapters.
Try to find that spot again.
I wake up at 4 in the morning. Yeah. Hi, Shane.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Do they count?
It's always a pleasure listening to you guys.
Thank you, Shane. That's nice.
I wanted to say that I'm on the side of that audiobooks are definitely count as reading. In the world that we live in, just being so vast and with people having different disabilities or just different cognitive issues, I think that it would be unfair to say that it wouldn't be. I mean, everybody learns a little differently, and you've had several people chime in on that, and I think it's just very important that you give credit where credit's deserved. I think if you're listening, that's the same as reading. Not everybody reads something and understands it. So I think people that are, visual learners or audio learners, that's a way of them learning how to do.
Shane, and I love that we have this option now. I love it. But if somebody directly asks me if I read it or I listened to it, I would say I listened to it. I do love that we have the option. Jerry, hi.
When I was a kid, I won every reading contest there was.
You're
I was
awesome.
a ferocious reader. And then I had kids, and I worked full-time, and then I became a grandmother, and I can't really see very good anymore. And I love audiobooks. And I think Shane is my neighbor. He sounds like my neighbor.
I think we're all neighbors, quite frankly. I don't know why we're not. I don't know why we're not in the Daybreak Book Club together. See you out there when we're taking our walks. Hopefully, we'll have a nice, balmy weekend ahead. Maybe we can take some walks this weekend. Carolyn, good morning from Riverton.
Hi.
Do they count?
I'm a retired reading teacher, and it depends on the purpose of the reading. If you are reading to decode the letters to make phonetic words, then you read the words. If you are reading for comprehension and understanding of what's going on in the context of the story, that is also reading. So it depends on your purpose.
Carolyn, that's a great point. I'm glad you made it, because I do absolutely see value in the skill of reading. To become proficient, left to right, top to bottom, to be able to comprehend. Reading comprehension is different than listening comprehension. So I absolutely agree with that argument. Like, you cannot replace reading with just audiobooks. You have to have that skill. But I know how to read. If I listen to a book, I'm counting it as reading, and I'm not going to qualify by but I listened to it instead.
Dave and I debating this morning because Dave caught an article in the Wall Street Journal how this is a growing debate within the literary world, whether listening to an audiobook qualifies as actually reading a book. One more call, Kathy. You're going to wrap up the show for us from Draper. Do they count or don't they count?
Well, I'm a little... I can't decide, but I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of Audible. But I wanted to mention there is a book called Echo that is an absolutely must listen to book, because it is a short book, but it is the most amazing book, and you can't get the same experience from reading it as you do listening.
Well, I'm going to put it on my reading list to listen to it. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your phone calls. Wow, you really loaded us up. Thanks, Kathy, for rounding out the show.
I knew it would be a hot topic. I knew it was going to be split down the middle. A lot of people do not count audiobooks as reading. I absolutely do.
Yeah. Thanks so much. What a fun discussion. Straight ahead, Maria Chaleos up next with all your day's news. Of course, we took that news conference live. President-elect Donald Trump earlier this morning. She'll have more on that. And also former President Jimmy Carter's body being flown to Washington, D.C. to lie in state.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
How does a soccer club born in an unlikely place?
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
Built with players no one else wanted.
We knew no one believed in us.
Reach the league's highest heights.
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
Russell has made a champion out of Real Salt Lake.
How does that same team?
It's winter. It's cold. And let's talk about what we can do to stay safe in our homes, because home heating fires jump obviously in the winter. And joining us right now is the State Fire Marshal, Ted Black. Ted, I know you love talking about prevention. What can you tell us to help us stay safe?
So as safe as we want to be, and everything that we do to prevent fire accidents still can happen. And so you want
provisions in your home to help you address that. One of the best things you can have is working smoke detectors on each level of your home and in each bedroom. It's best if they're interconnected, but if you don't have the finances for that, buy individual smoke detectors. They're relatively inexpensive and put them up. And then when they start to beep because the battery goes bad, I actually found a smoke detector in my sister's house in the freezer because that was the only place they could put it that they couldn't hear it. Doesn't do you much good in the freezer. So install working smoke detectors and keep them working. Carbon monoxide detectors are also an excellent tool. You can buy those at any hardware store, and they'll help you recognize odorless, colorless gas that can be devastating to your family and your well-being, and help you address the issues that cause those so that you can make those repairs. Another great thing to have in your home is a fire extinguisher on each level of your home, and there's lots of videos and so forth on YouTube.
I have those. Yeah, I have a fire extinguisher on every level, and I have like one right in the kitchen where I can grab it, a small one under the sink, and then one in the pantry. It gives us peace of mind.
Yes,
and we know where, and everybody knows where they are.
Right, and pick them up, turn them upside down, and give them a shake once a year.
What about a fire ladder?
Those work well if you have a multi-story home.
Mm-hmm.
What's a fire ladder?
So it's a simple ladder that folds up that you can hook to the windowsill and exit the home. They can be a danger in and of themselves because they're difficult to get onto, especially if you're older.
I wondered about that.
And so
if you're older, like me. Yes. Yeah, no, like me. I mean, I've thought about getting one because I have 2-story home, but that's good to know, is to be aware that they can be a little unstable as you're trying to get down them.
So really one of the very best things you can do to prevent a fire in your home is to keep your home clean. It's very rare that those immaculately kept homes burn. So keep your home clean, keep your detectors updated and functioning properly. Get you some fire extinguishers. If you fry food, make sure you've got a lid that you can put on the pan immediately, turn the stove off, put the lid on, and leave it alone. If you have a fire in your oven, turn the oven off. Don't open it. Just turn it off and leave it be.
The oven is meant for heat, folks. Let it keep it in there. Ted Black, our Utah State Fire Marshal, thank you so much for joining us. Great resource at beready.utah.gov.